I loved when you interviewed Tate.
Yeah.
You guys went to Romanian and did it, right?
Yeah.
How was that?
Bro, it was great. It was incredible. I mean, it was a little tough. Steiny was like trying to compete with questions. I was like, bro, just let me.
Yeah,
because at one point I remember I was asking questions. And I think he must have asked Tate some question, and Tate was like, "What the? Why are you asking me this?" Like in the middle of the conversation.
Yo, are you
like,
cool with Steiny though?
Yes, bro. I love Steiny.
Like, there's an annoyance there. At times.
Okay, I'll tell you. Steiny's interesting because he's trying to looking out. Like, everyone's like looking out for themselves, you know, because like. It's like everyone's trying to like get the most for themselves and make a name for themselves and figure out their stuff. So like I understand that dynamic really differently because I was there because it stemmed from Steve and me basically, right?
Yeah.
And then he got the opportunity to do the podcast stuff for Nelk and Fullsend, and I think he was telling him like, "Yo, I want to go do this stuff." I know they were asking him to like come do it, and I think from what I understand. Is that Steiny was trying to get some sort of contract deal with Steve, and then it never happened for him to work more closely with Steve. And then he just kind of started he was going to try to go in between and do some stuff for Steve and then do some stuff and do the podcast. And he just kind of went all the way that way.
Every time I've seen you on the pod, are you like an official member of Fullsend pod?
No. I've actually
I like
never.
You when you're on there, man.
I loved it. I loved it.
I love it when Kyle's my boy, man. Kyle's just amazing to me. You and Kyle, you have a good dynamic. I think when Steiny's in the mix, you and him always step on each other's toes. It's kind of interesting. And I thought it was an act a little bit at first because y'all had a few little like one of those like boys episodes, and I was like, I can't tell if this is just great content or like they were really hashing it out right now.
I mean, we've known each other for a long time, so it's a little bit of both, you know? I wouldn't say it's an act. It's just like we kind of just let it go.
From a viewer looking at it, I don't know if anyone else looks at it like this, but like, but somebody called him out on it. Where like they're like, yo, maybe he's trying to play victim a little bit. Like I'll be feeling bad for my boy Steiny. I'd be like, man, yo, I feel like he's trying so hard. Like he's trying hard, and sometimes he doesn't get the not necessarily the respect, but like he's getting the short end of the stick in terms of not getting respect. I guess.
Here's the thing, and I could speak to that directly. Okay. Within that ecosystem of content, would you say it's comedy based?
Mostly.
Okay. And in comedy, there's a classic type of comedy. There's like the crazy guy, and then there's the straight guy.
Yeah.
And the straight guy is normally the what? The butt of the joke.
Yeah.
I was there for years. And what was I? I was the butt of the joke.
Yeah.
So that transitioned to Steiny. Like me with Steve, oh, Brad's this, Brad's that, Brad's this. You know, I was that guy that was like, yo, this is the butt end of the joke. Yeah. All these things true? Fuck no. But like I play into it because I get comedy. I understand, like I'm not a comedian, you know, I'm not Tom Segura over here, you know what I'm saying? Like, but I understand comedy. And I knew that like there's an important part. Like if everyone was Steiny, that shit would suck. If everyone was Kyle, that shit would suck. Meaning like you need dynamics.
No, absolutely.
You know? So Kyle is more is not the straight guy. Kyle's more the guy who's gonna like throw the jabs or throw the hits, and Steiny's got to kind of take the shit.
Yeah.
And so when I was a part of it, like
wait, why aren't you a part of it anymore?
They just stopped having me on. I talked to Adam 22 about this. They just stopped having me on. I mean, maybe because I have my own shit focused on that. Like there's no like bad blood. It's not a problem. It's just like
I feel like you're like cast, bro. Like I feel like you're part of the cast. Because, you know, I remember the whole Bob Menery thing, which, by the way, I was like, you know, I love the business side of like all of this. And I remember like he kind of came out and explained the deal. And I was like, yo, Bob, the deal sounded like it was kind of your favor, my brother. What's going on? But anyway, all right, he kind of falls out of the fold. And then you come on. And, yo, as I said, like you were batting like 1,000 on some of those episodes. Like, you know what? Because maybe it's because you're older. You just have a different perspective. Like even me and you talking now, like we're gonna get into some of the minutiae of just like deeper conversation than just yo, this is what like you know. Some people do a pod and it's like current event based. It's like yo, so what happened here? Oh, what happened here? But anytime with you, it's always like even with the Tate thing was a great example.
Yeah.
About getting into the psyche of somebody who's who people are super interested in, rather than just kind of get
how many chicks you
clickbaity.
fuck.
Yeah, like just, and I thought that was great. So I thought you were gonna stay.
Well, I
there.
thought it was a perfect combination because it was kind of like that. Kyle, and from my perspective, and again, this is all stuff that we've never actually talked about explicitly. It's just kind of how the vibe went.
Don't tell me they George Janko's you, bro.
I don't think they Georgienko me like they weren't talking about my religion and shit. No, nah, bro. No. It's like it's crazy because when I look back at it, I see the perspective. Like Kyle was kind of the guy he would like throw up fucking like jokes towards like Steiny or me, and like me in relationship to Steiny, and then it would create like some sort of rift or issue. And I think it worked really well because like Steiny would also be really good at asking like viral questions.
Yeah,
and then I was asking like
100%.
Yeah, exactly. Like you talk about like, yo, like right now we talked about the Sneeko shit. Sneeko do it, whatever, right? Because it's current. Current stuff, viral stuff. He was really good at hitting those topics. Kyle was really good at like just kind of like batting shit up and seeing what landed and how like he would create like little tiffs between me and Steiny. I thought it was a really fucking dope dynamic. And then, you know, they probably just like, yo, we can just do this together. I don't know.
Was it business wise?
Bro, I mean, it's not up to me. Like to be very transparent, I was never like an official member of any of it. You know, I don't own any of that. I'm not a part of it that way. I was just kind of like a part of the content for a long time. And I think a lot of people identified me as like a part of it. So maybe like your perspective of it too is a little bit like that. Cause I filmed so many videos with Steve, so many videos with Nell, so many podcasts. I love the guys. I have nothing bad to say. It's just like, they just how they decide what they decide. Like I'm not involved in their meetings. Like I'm not involved in their shit, you know? And I just kind of like, I was getting invited and then they're like, they just essentially stopped inviting me.
That's kind of dope how at least you're reflecting on it, because I do know, and I know a lot of situations with like podcasts with multiple people then become entitled to be like, hey, listen, I help. Like, maybe you wouldn't say I helped build this, but it's like, I've helped push the envelope further and push the ball towards the goal a little bit, that if you just don't invite me, like I feel away. You know what I mean? You can't just like sub me out after I've just like made some sacrifices.
Yeah, I mean, it sucks,
you know what I mean?
but like at the end of the day, like what am I gonna do? Be like, I'm so mad I'm not doing this still. Like, what do I get from that?
Yeah, true.
You know, you only kind of like create more issue that's like not necessary. It's just not necessary.
And obviously, like you're dumb cool with Steve. And,
yeah, that's
like,
my
you know
brother,
I mean?
man.
So it's kind of like the same thing.
Yeah, I don't have this thing is like it's not an issue. It's like it's not my business to decide what happens or doesn't happen.
I think you have an amazing ability for podcasts, and I think that's why conversations you excel at. That's the only reason I asked that question, because the times you were there, usually throughout, like it's always comedic, right? It's funny as hell. Like there's always a dynamic that's like you know, I think Kyle does a really good job of making it like it's gonna be a Nelk dynamic to it. Like if you understand what that is, for the people watching, but then you would always make the conversations deeper.
Yeah.
And it's always like, okay, all right, cool. Like that kind of makes sense a little bit.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Well, bro, I mean, listen, they want to have me back on, I'll come back on. I'd do it.
Your pod's like probably blown the fuck up because of you being there. Because they have a huge fucking platform. Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's like the crossover effect from you being on there to like you doing your own shit now is probably like you probably just seen it kind of go up.
Yeah. I mean, it's no matter what, it's still content and grinding. Like, of course, though, like that's why, you know, originally I was doing so much content. Like I understood, like, for example, I've joked about this before in the past, but like, I remember they were doing like millions, like I've joked with Steve about this. He sold, I don't know, like $2 million, $3 million worth of like Bradley Martin sold me drugs t-shirts. I didn't get a single dollar.
Sold $3 million worth of
$3 million worth of t-shirts. With one t-shirt with my name on it. $0. And like I would joke about it, like because I'd understand it, like I was a part of the content. Yeah. So you're a part of the mix. You know, people are getting to know you. And I knew Steve's calling me. And I knew that like I'm a part of a newer community that I wasn't a part of prior. So I was like, okay, like I understand the value there. So, you know, I made jokes about like not getting paid and shit. At the end of the day, like I know what it is. Like I understand social media. I've done it for so long. So I know that there's some, and it's not to say that I didn't come in and add value, because like the jokes wouldn't be there selling $2 million in t-shirt off my face if I wasn't there. Like there's no jokes to hit. There's no Bradley Martin sold me drugs and no $2-3 million worth of t-shirt sales if I wasn't there.
Yo, it's crazy how big their brand. I remember, I think they were having a episode with Jesse. I think he was like, yo, they did a merch drop and did like $1 million an hour. Like that sounds ridiculous. Like,
Well, when we were filming together back then, there was like, I think the peak was like a $12, $15 million day.
what?
Yeah, it was like a crazy number.
Like people buying merch?
Yes, yeah. Like when me, Steve, and Jesse was still there, I believe. He wasn't around as much. He was kind of still there, but it was like me, Steve, Kyle. Was Jay? I don't know if Jay was really in it like that. I think Celine probably had just started. But this was like, fuck, when they still lived in LA, at the house in LA. They were doing crazy numbers.
Jesus Christ.
I don't know what it is now. I'm not, you know.
I'm pretty sure they're still killing. I mean, Happy
Happy Dad,
is
I know.
probably just the wave.
Yeah.
Yeah, I go to my refrigerator upstairs and it's like a fucking Happy Dad just kicking it there.
Yeah,
Happy Dad's everywhere.
They're crushing that. There's no doubt about that. And again, dude, I just want to make it clear, like, I have no bad blood. If they want to have me back on, I'll come back on. But I knew, because I'm telling you guys, like, I knew that it wasn't like, yo, this is your it wasn't like, yo, here's, you own this shit. Because like his whole thing with Bob was different. Like it was inception from the very beginning, like, yo, you're gonna have this or have that or whatever it was.
None of that happened with you where you're like, yo.
Nah, it was like, yo, here's how much money we're gonna pay you to show up.
Okay.
And then here's how much money we're gonna pay you to show up after this many episodes. That was it. So like, I can't be like, yo, bro, you told me I'm gonna own this and own that. Like, nah, man. Like, hey, there's none of that. That's it's, for me, it's like, one would be like, yo, I'm mad you didn't give me more. Like,
yeah,
that's lame.